You got that swass going on. Is this taping while I'm saying swass? Oh, okay.
I don't know if it's all the way on yet. It takes a second.
Yeah, it is.
Make sure Swamp Ass is in there. For, yeah.
Get that on film.
Title of the video.
Okay, come so you can see this wound.
Oof.
Oh, this is your wound right here.
Ron. Gross.
Oh, yeah.
Ron, your shit is messed up.
Ron, how did you let... You came in with a headache?
20.
Okay.
Let me see, Kim.
Okay, so what do we see here?
Lots of slough.
A lot of slough. All this yellow stuff.
Uneven edges.
Any necrosis? No. Yes, right here.
Dot.
Oh.
Yeah, that little
Could have
bit.
been an M&M.
Yes, there's uneven edges. It's irregular shaped. So this is what irregular shapes look like.
Hands are freezing.
Ron,
Okay,
we
what
need to do
else
something
do you
about your
notice
phone.
about the edges?
Thank you. It's just, you know.
Yeah, see how they're really bright light pink?
Yeah.
What does that indicate? Epithelialization. It means the wound edges are growing back together. It's a good sign. Can we tell how deep the wound is? No, not until we remove the slough. But likely it's very shallow. What about the condition of the skin around the wound? Is it very clear where the wound ends and the peri-wound begins? No. No. Okay, because like over here it looks like we could have another wound. There's some necrosis here. Stuff is happening here.
So how do you mention that? When it's all crazy.
You still measure
You
widest cranial to caudal and widest medial to lateral.
You
In
just say
centimeters.
craziness.
In terms of
Just right crazy.
Peri-wound conditions, you would say
Pinkness.
irregular, more wounds.
And is that the entire, like would that be this entire part here or the right at the very edge?
So that's the edges, and then just outside of that is the peri-wound. Okay, so what type of wound is this?
I thought it was venous.
It could be venous. What else could it be? Lymphatic, because they're both shallow. They give off a lot of exudate. They're irregular shape. They often have other wounds next to them. So we would just have to see whether or not the patient had lymphedema. So what would lymphedema look like different than peripheral edema? They both have edema. How does lymphedema look different than peripheral edema?
The little patch.
Not the wounds.
It's not fitting.
Oh, okay.
Won't be pitting.
Be red.
Just how does the edema differ?
Interstitial versus.
Like all over the body.
Yeah, it's going to look a lot larger, and it's going to be one big compartment. Versus peripheral edema usually is more distal and gets less as you travel proximal. Where lymphedema will just be an entire compartment or an entire limb. And it's significantly more. Like the skin really looks like it's super stretched.
Yeah. Because it is.
Okay, and we can't see enough rest of the peri-wound, so we don't know whether there's hemosiderin stains, varicose veins, because this picture isn't telling us enough.
If it's really shallow like that, you know, for a layperson, would they just think, or is it like a scab? This pink part? Is it like dry?
You mean the outside of the wound? It's hard to tell from this picture.
Okay.
And then the yellow slough would it normally be like wet?
Slough is very wet.
Okay.
Slough is yellow and it is wet dead tissue. Versus eschar is dead tissue that's dry and black.
It's kind of greenish yellowish.
You could smell it.
From like here.
You would smell the dressing when you take it off.
Have someone else smell and tell me what it smells like.
Something is purulent in this room.
It's probably your swass.
I can smell it.
But this looks more like slough. Okay. Moving on.
Moving on to Jimmy's toes.
Flip over.
There you go, Ron.
Look at that.
Yep. It's like falling off the cliff.
I was like, I'm more interested in your toes right now.
I'm really highly observant of those toes.
Flip over, bro. Let me see your...
Oh, that's your toe. Okay, everyone come so you can...
Flip it. Watch out for the toes.
Oh my.
Just
Something's
relax.
going on.
Relax.
Another pillow?
What's
Bridge.
happening right now?
Just lie down.
Bridge.
Why are you messing with the view?
Okay. What are we noticing about this wound?
Location.
It's definitely a pressure ulcer. Why?
Because it's on the heel.
It's on the heel. Why else? Somewhat round,
Mm-hmm.
large, beefy wound bed.
Not you. Your wound.
Pressure ulcers consistent with undermining? Would there always be undermining with pressure?
Not always. But we do have undermining here. See how the edges are rolled underneath? Now we can't truly tell how deep it is until we remove this eschar over here. But look closely. See the little white lines there? That's either muscle or tendon. So what stage would this be?
3.
4.
Bizzo.
Okay, also this yellow here, we got slough there, maybe some there. See how it's really bright white at the edge? That could be macerated tissue. It's at the edge. Now, pressure ulcers typically only give off mild amount of exudate, but that still could be enough to make it macerated. What else do we have here?
Would that be considered just like serous sanguinous exudate? Because it's kind of
Yes,
red
so the
clear.
granulation tissue will always be serosanguinous, because it's not going to be just sanguinous unless there's more like actual blood vessels, but it'll be serosanguinous and probably a mild amount.
So we're not using the Wagner scale. in this
Wagner
case.
scale is for diabetic ulcers only.
Okay.
The new Ptap or something is the pressure ulcer
Okay.
grading, and then
We
we'll
were
have a
going
whole
over this
other
one.
grading system for burns.
I need to make a note of that in my book.
Okay. Moving on.
To the better looking foot. Sorry, Jimmy.
Diabetic. Diabetic. Okay.
Yes.
Oh.
Okay, what do we notice about this wound?
It's necrotic.
Lots of eschar. And that plus the location, what type of wound is it?
Arterial?
Arterial. Is it clear where the wound begins and ends?
Kind of.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, there's a very clear line all the way around. This, it's hard to tell, but this other part, it's part of the wound bed, it's lighter in color, it's probably some slough. So how are we going to treat this wound?
Keep them dry.
Scrape it off?
So we will make sure the slough is absorbed, but basically we just keep it dry and protected.
You would not remove any of the eschar, right?
And I wouldn't really remove the slough either, I would just try to get it to dry out a little bit.
Because they could bleed to death.
You don't want it
Well, no, you don't want it to get infected. Because bacteria like wet things.
It's true. Nerves hate pressure.
Okay, any other questions about this wound?
Bobby P.
Okay, we already looked at yours. What do we got next? Bob. Have a seat.
Bobski.
Okay, everyone come closer.
Thank you for your phone.
Okay, what do we notice about this wound? There definitely is maceration, okay? Because it's bright white and it's at the edges. So that's how you know it's macerated tissue, which means what happened to it? Too wet. So we would need a different type of dressing that made sure that the edges didn't stay too wet. What do we notice about the wound bed itself?
It's necrotic.
Yeah, there's definitely some necrosis. There's a little bit of red too, so it looks like the eschar is covering some of the granulation tissue.
Is that a little bit of slough in there as
And
well?
there's a little bit of slough in the wound bed as well. What do we notice about the condition of the peri wound, the skin around the wound?
Discolored?
So it's discolored, which is hemosiderin stains, and then little tiny little varicose veins you got going on there too.
Venus?
So what type of ulcer is it? Venous. And again, notice how it's kind of an irregular shape. It's not kind of curved edges.
Open mouth.
Venous ulcer. So what are we going to do for treatment? Dry. We have to get the peri-wound dryer. What are we going to do to the wound bed?
Just cover it.
Well, first we need to get rid of the necrotic tissue, so we need to get rid of the eschar and the slough. What do we call it when we remove necrotic tissue? Debridement.
That was the PT flavor of the week.
Nope. There's lots of different types of debridement. You just can't use sharp debridement. And we'll go over that tomorrow.
So you do like pulse lavage or something like that?
Wet to dry gauze, maggots,
Really?
called biologic.
Hold on, I'm gonna treat you with some maggots. Just pour them in the lake.
In the 12th century.
Maggots will only eat dead tissue. They will not eat live, viable tissue.
Isn't it clean up skulls too?
I've seen that.
I did not know that.
Disgusting when they're done.
Because I watched Maggot Discovery Channel.
Okay.
You doing okay right there?
Sorry. And I
Really
just
grossed
haven't
me
had
out.
a whole maggot.
Say bye, man, Drew. Bye.